Hey guys, what we have here is a Canadian classic from the 1970s. It is a 16-inch super oscillating fan, and everyone's favorite blue color scheme. I mean, who doesn't love that? So this fan is from the 70s, but more specifically it is from the late 1970s, and the main giveaway is this crazy safety grille that fans were equipped with here in Canada from the late 70s up until the mid 1990s. And also, this would have been one of the very last supers to be fitted with the blue blades because shortly afterwards in the 80s they switched over to the brown or amber, I'm not sure which people really call it, but you guys know what I'm talking about, the brownish blades that carried throughout the 80s, and they switched over to the gray blades in the 90s. But anyways, this would have been one of the last with the blue blades, but one of the first with this crazy safety grille. Alright, so here it is in full view. Now I do have another one very similar to this one. They are similar but not quite the same. The other one's actually complete with the original box, and it's a little bit newer. And I want to do a video eventually of them side by side so I can point out and show you guys the very minute differences between the two. They're so similar but not quite the same. It's very interesting. But this one is the older of the two, and I personally like this one a little bit better. There's a couple design differences that were a little bit superior on the older one, which I'm not too surprised about. But yeah, this is the older one of the two. And yeah, in this video we're going to be taking a look at this one. It is in its pre-restoration condition. I have not cleaned it up, even though I've had it for, I think, coming up about a year so far. I really do need to clean this one up because it is actually a very beautiful example of one. It's in really nice shape, even complete with all of the cage clips. All 6 of them are intact, mostly intact. Some of them have some cracks in them and they're on the verge of breaking, but I mean, they're holding on, so there's still something. And of course, the usual close-up view. Man, I really like the huge badge that Lasco used on their 16-inch fans. I mean, look at that thing. It takes up almost half of the diameter of the grill. It's insane. And just the look of it, it's a little bit ornate. It's got the designs of the... It really reminds me of those wire spoke rims that were used on like lowriders and some higher luxury cars in like the 60s and the 70s. If you guys know what I'm talking about. Such a cool design. Of course, got the super badge there. The printing wasn't perfect. They missed a little spot there. Oh well. The chrome's in good shape. Usually this is all worn off, but still got a good shine to it. The grill is in good shape too. I'm not sure if these were actually chrome plated or if these were more just like a galvanized finish, because it doesn't look like a very reflective finish to begin with. It's kind of a dull silver finish. And of course the star of the show, the giant blue blades. Can't beat that. They're in amazing condition, surprisingly clean. And cage clips, of course. So this one up here, and this one here, which I purposefully just hooked it onto one half of the grill, and I believe this one have some cracks along here, along the spine of the clip. I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up, but it's basically kind of splitting apart from the tension of the grill, which is kind of inevitable as the plastic ages, and people try to disassemble the fan and they kind of don't know how to work it, and they just put too much force on it. They are intact, nothing's missing, nothing's quite broken yet, but they are very fragile and they're so close to breaking, so I'm gonna have to try to take care and not to disturb them too much because I do want to keep them intact. Here's the base. This was the same base design that Lasco carried throughout the 90s or the 80s and a little bit of the 90s too. It's a little bit dusty. It's been sitting around and it was a little bit dusty when I got it. Like I said, I haven't cleaned it up one bit. So unlike the American counterparts that say 16-inch oscillating fan on right there, this one just says 16. and it says 0123. The American versions have off, low, medium, high written there instead of numbers, but Canada, being a bilingual country, they just put numbers instead because it's more universal. And to be honest, I prefer numbers too. It's a cleaner look than having the text there. And also, yeah, the whole plate is intact and it's in great shape, which I'm really glad to see. Look at the cord on this thing. A lot of 16-inch fans sold in Canada in the era when they had these crazy safety grills also had grounded cords, and this thing is no joke. Look how thick the insulation is. It's this has got to be well, maybe it is a standard 18 gauge wire, but the insulation itself is absolutely massive. It does say LMP on there, which stands for Lasco Metal Products. So this is an OEM cord that came with the fan. Now let's take a look at the back of it. It's in really nice shape, fairly clean too, surprisingly clean I would say. Now as you can see, the base is a little bit more yellowed than the motor housing. There's a little bit of contrast there, same with the oscillator knob. But when you're looking at it from the front, the badge and the grills completely hide the motor housing, so you can't really even tell the fact that this fan is yellowed. There's the beefy handle. Love the design. So one of the elements that this fan has that my other version doesn't have, the newer one, is a screw on the oscillator knob. Now what I like about this one is that it's very easy to disassemble the rear motor housing, because all you do is take a screwdriver. This is a reverse threaded screw, so undo the screw, the knob pops off, and you can just simply pull the motor housing off, whereas the newer ones is like a permanently press fitted knob, so it's a very tedious task in order to get it out. I've talked about it in some previous videos, but yeah, those are no fun to work on. But this is absolutely easy to work on, and I like this design much better. It's such a simple difference, but it makes a huge difference when you try to work on it. There's the back of it. Simple but effective rear vents. And let's take a look at the bottom of the fan. I think it has some information on there. Alright, so all of the rubber feet are intact. And here's the information. So it doesn't actually see the model number, but it says type 16-80. I wonder if the 80 is a... Could that be the year? 1980? It's kind of close enough to the late 70s. Probably not, knowing Lasco. They don't really put the date code on there like that. 0.8 amps. Wow. And thermally protected. Got some scuff marks there, but overall not too bad. Cool, let's go ahead and plug this in and give this a test run. Alright, plugged in and ready to go. First run since last December. Here it is on low. A little grumpy, but it starts right up. Picks up speed no problem. And there it goes. Yeah, it's got a little shimmy to it. It's not bad, but we'll have to see when it gets up to high speed. Oh man, Lasco made some of the best looking and performing fans in the 1970s and 80s. I know some other manufacturers, like especially Japanese manufacturers, made really good fans in that same era, but something about Lasco, I really like their products. Unfortunately, they went downhill pretty quick once the 2000s hit, but in their prime, their products were solid, and this is definitely one of them. This may be at their peak, like the pinnacle of Lasco products. This is a fine example of one. This is a very quiet fan, and if I go to the other side of the camera, let's pushing out a really good amount of air, and you would think with the safety grille that blocks a lot of air, and it does to some degree, but surprisingly not as much as you might think. What it does, to me, sensation-wise, it kind of flattens out the airflow. It kind of, instead of being a huge gust, like a burst of wind coming at you, it's almost like a continuous flattened blanket of wind. I don't know if that's even a proper description of it, but it feels a little bit different, but not necessarily worse. Alright, we shall bump it up to medium speed. Look at that, picks up speed. Good difference from low. It's not too bad of a shake. And also, in addition to this fan being very quiet, the sound that it does produce is very pleasant to listen to. A lot of white noise, and it's got a little bit of that low-pitched rumble underneath it, kind of like the bassy sound, to give it a very dynamic white noise. It sounds so weird. I sound like some, I don't know, song critic analyzing the different instrumental components of a song, but yeah, it's such a good sound. I can listen to it all night and have this fan running next to me while I sleep. It's such a pleasant sound, and I'm sure for those of you who sleep with the fan running would appreciate this one. A lot of newer fans tend to have more of a kind of like a whipping sound or a whizzing sound. That was the word I was looking for. It's because the blades are so thin that they kind of flutter as they spin, and that creates more of a buffeting sound. And some of them tend to have a motor noise too, which is not very pleasant. Man, great fan. I love this thing. Alright, we'll bump it up to high, full speed. Yeah, so one problem this fan has is the high-speed button doesn't really stay down unless you give it a really firm press. I mean, it works, but I'm going to have to look into it when I service it. Oh man, it's super powerful. And its brand name Super is fitting. And I'm sure the American Lasco and Galaxy counterparts do move more air because they don't have that crazy safety grille. But as is, these Super versions also move a ton of air. It's a pretty warm day, but I'm already getting a little cold because the airflow standing in front of it. Alright, let's test out the oscillation. Works no problem. And also, I believe this version has a little bit more metal components in the gearbox, the oscillation gearbox, than the newer one, which is more plastic. Yeah, that works good. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, these things just run forever, even if you never oil it. So we'll cut the power and let it coast down. No bearing noise, no gearbox noise from a fan that is almost 25 years old, or somewhere around there. But the awful thing is we have fans nowadays that you buy brand new from a retail store. You buy it fresh off the shelf, you plug it in, and you turn it on, and it has bearing noise, it has gearbox noise, it has some kind of mechanical noise straight out of the box. That's how far we've come in terms of quality. It went down quite a bit. So yeah, these were definitely the old but gold examples of... I would say these were some of the best plastic table fans ever made. When it comes to metal table fans, I think I would say the 1930s 30s or the 40s, maybe the 50s, especially with the Emerson overlapping blade fans, the 77646 series and the 16-inch counterparts, and also the GE Vortex fans. I would say those were some of the best all metal fans in like 30s, 40s, 50s. But when it came to the plastic era, I would say the late 70s and the 80s products were definitely among the best, this being one of them. I mean, look at that. It's a gorgeous fan. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. It's like, what is it, 6 o'clock, and the sun is setting in this room pretty quick, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up. Perfect timing, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, and peace out.